Alrighty folks, welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about the period of the tangent function. So we'll start off with some angle theta drawn it here. And remember from our previous discussions that whereas on the unit circle, we see the x and y coordinates and the x coordinate is sine and the y coordinate, the x coordinate is cosine and the y coordinate is sine, we actually know that tangent is the slope of this ray. And so, well, remember the period of sine and cosine was 2 pi in both cases. Now, is that the case here? Well, let's think about this. If I go, here's theta, and I add 2 pi to that, so this angle now is theta plus 2 pi. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Tangent would be the exact same thing. So it is true that tangent of theta and tangent of theta plus 2 pi is exactly the same. That's absolutely correct. However, the question is, do we need to go out that far? Do we need to go a full 2 pi before we start repeating? Well, let's take a look at this. So I'm going to bust out my ruler here to help demonstrate. So here's where this original angle is. Oh, we could actually start off at 0. So at 0, the slope is 0, which makes sense because they're totally flat. As we start increasing, going forward, our slope is getting more and more positive, okay, until we get to 90 degrees, at which point it is undefined. Well, okay, so it gets undefined here, and then it becomes a really large negative slope. We still haven't gotten back to this same positive slope over here, though, of theta. We haven't gotten there yet. Okay, so we're at a negative slope now, and that negative slope is slowly becoming more positive, or less negative, until it gets back to 0. And then, hey, check this out. The slope is now getting positive again, going up to this point. So this angle now, I have gone this far. I've gone, if here was theta, I went around to over here, and I'll kind of draw this in. How far, the question is, how far away is this? Because this angle right here, I'll call it theta 2, tangent of theta 2 is equal to tangent of theta 1. They have the exact same slope, the original theta, excuse me. And we can actually see, well, we actually just repeated itself, since it just is the exact same angle just pointing the opposite direction. We can see that that difference in angle is actually just theta plus pi, or plus 180 degrees. And we could actually see that early if you were kind of listening. At 0 degrees, we have a slope of 0, and then when I get to 180 degrees, it's also a slope of 0. And then again, we would start going now back to a positive slope, which is what happens when we first start increasing from 0. And so what we can say is actually, yes, this thing the tangent function repeats every 2 pi, but we don't need to go out 2 pi to start repeating. So tangent of theta is actually equal to tangent of theta plus pi, and so pi is the length of the period, or the period. Now, it is true that since we repeat every 2 pi, you could say the period is 2 pi, but we're usually looking for the fundamental period. The fundamental period, i.e., what's the least, sorry, I kind of brain farted right there. What's the smallest amount going forward that we have to get to before we start repeating? The fundamental period. And for tangent would be pi degrees, or sorry, pi radians.